Today's video was sponsored by Pop Culture Zone Pressing Services. If you need your comic books pressed, I personally vouch for Pop Culture Zone as being one of the best professional companies in the game, offering hands down the lowest prices out there. Services start at only $9.99, and every order placed will receive free fast track turnaround times. Even though I press comics for my personal collection, whenever I need a professional press for my key comics, I send them off to Pop Culture Zone, and every single book that I've received back, every single one, has had results that have exceeded my expectations, and I am sure that they will exceed your expectations as well. Make sure you go check the link in the description below to head over to their website, popculturezone.com, for complete details on services and how to begin your order.
What is going on, everyone? Chris with Journos Comics and Pop Culture. Today's video is discussing 5 key money-saving tips when buying and collecting comic books. If you aren't subscribed to the channel, please take some time to do so. Check out all the awesome links below as well. And I have to give a big shout out to Patreon member Griffin, because this is June's patron suggestion video. Griffin suggested this topic, so Griffin, congrats. Thank you so much for the great suggestion and recommendation. Talking about 5 money-saving tips is huge. So I got my 5 points here, and we're just going to get right into it, everyone. There's so many tips that I could think of when it comes to, trying to save us money when we're, we know a lot of us are putting money out there, every day, every week, new comic books, back issues, building our collection, right? This is a costly hobby. So I got 5 picked out. We're going to get right into the first one here. Number 5, know your budget and prioritize how you want to collect. Let me repeat that. Know your budget and prioritize how you want to collect. Here's an example. I'm going to give you an example of something that I did some years ago. When DC Rebirth came out, I went ham on buying up all of the titles, okay? I was really pulled into what DC was doing, and it was really more because I thought that this was the next big thing and I was going to miss out. I had FOMO of missing out on some big, huge thing. These books are going to be worth money. So I would go to my local comic shop every single week, and I was collecting every single Rebirth title. Every single one. I probably did every single one for at least 6 months. Up until that year, the first year I was collecting a lot. I started slowly dropping some off. But I picked up a lot for a good while. And I look back and I realized most of these books ended up in the dollar bins, right? So I ended up, if I would have had patience, I could have just bargain bought some of them down the line. I wasn't reading every title anyways. So I really look back and I feel like I really wish I would have saved my money and put it towards like more Silver Age or Bronze Age run fillers that I was already collecting. So that to the point, that's a good example of how you can save money by, before you make your purchases, know exactly how you want to collect. Now, here's the thing though. We often change how we collect. Oh, maybe we want to focus on, new DC books, for a few months, and then maybe we want to focus on back issue Marvel books for a few months. Maybe we want to go to independent route. That's all good, but just make sure you're taking the time to sit with saying, I have this amount of money to spend, and this is what I want to spend it on, because we all have to budget our money. And if we're using all of our budget because we have FOMO and missing out on this thing over there, but what we really want in our hearts is those Bronze Age books, or we want to save up for that key, sit with it, all right? And budget your money accordingly. And at the end of the day, you're going to be making sounder decisions for the long term. And when you look back, hindsight, you're going to be able to kind of like breathe a little better and say, hey, I made the right decisions, right? All right, going into tip number 4. Never hesitate to negotiate price. I've talked about this before, and this goes for, obviously, whether you're buying from an LCS, whether you're buying from a vendor at a con, whether you're buying from somebody from a Facebook group or Facebook Marketplace, or even on eBay. Never hesitate to negotiate, okay? Even if there's a sticker price on a book. I'm not saying be an a-hole and, grab a book and say, you know what, you need to sell me this at $5, even though you have it marked for 10. Like, don't be an a-hole about it. Be professional, be humble about it, but say, hey, look, I see you got this book. Say it's a key book. I see you got it marked for $100. Would you be willing to take 85? And see what they say. The worst thing that can happen is that they say no. Another tip for eBay is, and I do this. If you see a book that's, say, an auction item, and it has less than 24 hours yet left, and no one has bid, there's not one bid, I'll email them and say they have a starting bid at $9.99 and a buy it now for $60. If nobody's bid, I'll go and email them and say, hey, would you be willing to take $40 for this book? And they may be willing to take that offer. No matter the situation, never hesitate to negotiate a price. You might be surprised on how willing some people are willing to go. Again, be respectful. Don't, if somebody's asking $100 for a book and you're like, hey, would you take 30 for that? I mean, come on, you got to be rational here, right? In your thinking. So, all right. Tip number 3, for online purchases, bundle up multiple buys from one seller. So let's use eBay as an example. If you win a auction item, don't pay right away. Say shipping's $10 and you bought an item for $20. You won a bid, $20 high bid. Go to that eBay seller store and see what else they have. See if they have anything else ending soon. See if they have some buy it nows, and see if they will, consolidate shipping costs. Because then, especially, I like this, especially when I'm looking at books that are only $3, $4, $5, $6. And shipping is like $5, $6, $7, right? If I can add a few more books on top of that, and they're willing to add an extra book for 50 cents each, I save a lot of money per book, because now it seems more worth it to me because I'm not paying that much for shipping for, say, 5 books instead of paying so much for one book. The same goes when you're buying on, say, Mercari or even Facebook. Say they have one book listed that you've had your eyes on, and you negotiate a price. You're like, okay, yeah, I want that book for $40. Hey, can I trouble you to see if you have this, or this in your inventory, and maybe we can bundle up a price? Not only can you maybe bundle up shipping, but going back to tip number 4, you may be able to negotiate a bundled price on top of bundling shipping. So never hesitate to do that, because you never know what a seller might have, even if it's not listed. All right, going into tip number 2. Now this one is a very intricate one. Secure a pull list, order via previews orders, or utilize mail order subs. So this really has 3 parts to it, everyone, okay? Secure a pull list, order via previews orders, or utilize mail order subs. Well, here's the thing to get ahead of the game. Read your previews mags. Do I have any out here? I don't. I usually have some sitting next to me. Utilize your previews. So previews magazines for DC, for Marvel, they come out 3 months in advance at the beginning of each month. You can read through that. You can know what's going on. You can get hit to speculation that way as well, right? Once you do that, you're ahead of the curve. You know what's going on. You know what you want to buy. Maybe you know what you want to read. You know what you want to speculate on. Okay? Once you do that, then you can either utilize a local shop to secure a pull list, or you can utilize an online retailer to order your new releases via previews orders. And what do you do with your previews orders in terms of saving money? You get 35% off cover price. And that's why I always do my unboxings from mycomicshop.com, because I order all my new releases 3 months in advance, and I get 35% off cover price. All right? That's a huge savings. But look, if you want to, just get your pull list set up at your local LCS. I know that a lot of LCSs offer, perks. They offer a point reward system. Some of them even offer 10, 50% off of anything you put in your pull list. So you could save money that way as well. All right. And then the last thing here is to utilize mail order subscriptions. Mail order subscriptions still exist, all right? I still have some from Marvel. You get 45% off. DC does it too. Some of them are 45. I think some of them are 25. I get 45% off my Venom, my Amazing Spider-Man, my Captain America from Marvel subscriptions because I know I'm going to read them. Okay? Now, they're not shipped very good. They're going to come with probably some type of minimal damage at least. And it takes a while for them to get here. You're going to get them like a month after they release. So if you're willing to do that and save the money, then it could be something that works for you. Again, this is how you could save money. And also, it allows you to stay on top of the speculation curve. So if you end up missing out, that's why I say if you miss out on something, you only have yourself to blame because you have all these resources to be able to know about these books, to be able to buy these books and essentially save money instead of just showing up at your LCS on that Wednesday, going to the rack and seeing that, all the, Stray Dogs #1s are gone. And then you want to cry about it's, speculators ruining the market when you could have absolutely secured that book in one of these ways that I'm discussing right here today. All right. So, very, very important tip. Secure a pull list, order via previews, or utilize those mail order subscriptions, okay? All right. Number one, and again, I think these tips today covered, how to save money on new releases, how to save money on back issues, when you're hunting keys, and so forth. And the number one tip of the day, obviously, is for anything that you're buying within the hobby, whether it's new releases, back issues, keys, and so forth. Have patience. Period. Have patience. Don't just buy the first book that you see. Okay? For example, if you have one book that you're hunting, like Adam Warlock and the Infinity Watch #1. Okay? Say you want to buy a, Amazing Spider-Man, 129, first appearance of the Punisher. Don't just buy the first book that you see. Don't just bid on an auction item because it's ending soonest. Don't just see the first buy it now and buy it. You have to have patience and do your homework, okay? Do your research on current fair market value. Check your eBay sold listings. Check cover price. Check Go Collect, even though I take their prices with a grain of salt. I think even key collectors' prices tend to not be updated. We know the market, especially on keys, is moving quickly. I haven't done too much study on key collectors' prices, so don't, take that with a grain of salt. But I think same with Go Collect. Go Collect has a hard time keeping up with the ever-changing market on some of their key books. But check them, see what they say. Check GPA if you have a membership with GPA. You have to understand the current fair market value and what's going on the market before you make a decision to buy. Search every option as well. Search all of your retail options. Call your local LCSs if you have more than one. See, hey, do you have a Amazing Spider-Man 129 in stock? What's the grade? Is it raw? Is it graded? Is it slabbed? How much you asking for it? Check Facebook Marketplace. Check IG. I know a lot of us probably follow IG comic book sellers. And again, this goes back to the earlier tips. Hit them up. They might have something that's just not listed. Hey, do you have a ASM 129 by chance? They might have one. You never know. Check the Mercari app, etc., etc., etc. Once you do all this, you have a good idea. And then, it goes back to the first tip of the day. Know your budget, right? Know your budget. Once you do this, you could probably sit there and say, well, my budget is, $1,000. So that means I could probably, get a CGC, maybe 3.0 with my budget. So that's what I have to look for. I can't spend anything more than that, but it's still workable. Still workable. I'm just going to have to settle for probably a lower grade. And then you start, siphoning through that. And then you start bidding on lower grade ASM 129s. You start looking at the buy it now or best offers for those grade ranges in your budget range. And then you have an understanding of what the fair market value is for that grade in that range. That's how I came away with my ASM 129. That's how I came away with my Fantastic Four 48s and 49s. A lot of my key books, I did this. I didn't just jump on the first thing. Sometimes you miss out. I'm going to give you all an example of me missing out. Early 2020, right when the pandemic hit, I was thinking of spending $100 or so on a Uncanny X-Men 266. I believe it was like a 9.4 for like $115, $120. I didn't buy it. Now, good luck getting that book for under like what, $250? I haven't looked lately, but I regret it. I was too patient. I regret it. Sometimes you miss out, but more often than not, having patience is how you win out. That's how you win out, especially if you're talking about big money investments. Always have patience. All right? You win some and lose some in this hobby. And if you have patience, you're going to win more than you lose. So that is my 5 tips on how to save money in this hobby, everyone. I hope that you enjoyed the tips. Griffin, again, I want everyone to give Griffin a big thank you for suggesting this video for the monthly patron suggestion. I want to thank all of my patron members and, of course, all my YouTube members of the channel for your continued support as well. Let me know what you all thought in the comments below of these 5 tips. Let me know if you live by some of these tips as well, and if this is how you guys go about your days buying and hunting and collecting comic books. So thank you all so much for watching. Again, please subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so yet. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Be well, and until next time.